Sorry, before we start, I just do want to acknowledge other teams since we are the last team. I really learned a lot and feeling so inspired by other members. They are focused on language, barriers, social justice, mental health issues. So I do acknowledge, we do want to appreciate our appreciation for all the teams. So yeah, okay, so here we go. Hi everyone, this is our pleasure to introduce Zine Cafe project today. And to start, I'd like to share a quote from one of our interviewees, who is a K-12 educator and a youth organizer. Said, I teach my students that things can be used to spread ideas, whatever they want. Before we get into it, I would like to introduce ourselves. My partner, Dave Parker, is a PhD student who does studies education, and me, a social work master student who serve as a community scholars in the School of Social Work. We are community organizers, educators, and artists. Well, we would like to begin by sharing how the idea of Zine Cafe came to life. On the right is the data that from the Pew Research Center about how often U.S. public K-12 teachers discuss topics like racism, gender identity in their classroom. We can see that only 21% of the teachers often talk about racism, and just 8 of them mention about gender identity. This really highlights a larger problem. Traditional schools often fail to provide social justice education. And with the recent policy, further silencing marginalized students, the gap is only growing. As a result, many young people are not only losing access to resources, but also to a safe, supportive community, while mental health issues continue to rise. On top of that, through our research, studies, and everyday experiences, we notice there's a critical gap. While art education has been proven to support youth development, both mentally and physically, access to high-quality art education remains limited, especially for students from marginalized backgrounds. Financial barriers and systematic inequalities continue to shut many young people out. Okay, so based on what we have defined, our solution to the problem is to creating a platform to empowering young people in need with accessible art-making tools related to social justice education, which is Zine Cafe, a digital platform at the intersection of social justice, education, and art, empowering educators and young creators through accessible zine-making tools, educational resources, and community support. But why do we choose zines as a format of education? What is zines? So they will hand out some mini things of our Zine Cafe. I'm sorry, we only have 4 copies. It's basically a self-published little book. It's full of information and our little tiny ideas. Zines has a really long history of knowledge sharing and collective actions. In our perspectives, zines are vehicles of storytelling, holding personal stories, reflection, and voices often left out of dominant narratives. They are a way of making knowledge from lived experiences, rooted in DIY culture and anti-authority spirits. Through zine making, people connected, reflect, and develop critical consciousness, and reclaim their place in the world, turning private sources into collective power. This makes zines a powerful learning lever for critical literacy. They are tools for multimodal learning, identity development, and also flips traditional schooling, making students the experts of their knowledge. They are used in multidisciplinary teaching, research, and community organizing with low thresholds and costs. They also foster radical imagination, joy, youth authorship, and civic action. But currently, there's no centralized, youth-driven digital home exist.
So we're going to build it. We envision Zine Cafe as a ready-to-go platform for educators to bring zines into their classrooms and communities. We imagine this through ready lesson plans tailored for different ages and subjects. We also envision a digital zine creator so young people can create and share their learning in a new way. We also want to be youth-driven, and so as we grow and scale, we're really going to center youth input along the way. And finally, pedagogically, we are trauma-informed and healing-centered, and we imagine education as a tool for social transformation. For community discovery, we engaged nearly 30 stakeholders from all sorts of different backgrounds to get some feedback on our prototype, as well as get some insight on the direction that we're heading. Our first discovery was a very strong demand to bring zines into classrooms, particularly for K through 8. this demand also underscored a barrier that currently there are not any age-appropriate resources to bring zines into these specific contexts. Our second finding is that there is a huge eagerness to bring zines into classrooms and different community spaces, but practitioners lack the handy tools to really make it happen. Young people aren't able to browse zines organically. Some of the platforms don't work on Chromebooks. And also search functionality for discovering new zines is hardly functional. Our prototype, Zine Cafe, directly responds to this feedback and has many of the most requested features. During the question and answer period, we'd be happy to poke around in it, but here I'll bring your attention to our resource library. It's a metadata-rich library of over 100 resources tagged with a respect to intersectionality as well, so educators and youth organizers can identify the appropriate resources and put them to use. We imagine Zine Cafe having 4 phases. First, a base platform with free resources like those lesson plans and guides. The second phase is community engagement, where we're aiming for this summer to directly engage communities of practice who already use zines to learn more and uplift their voices. The third phase is bringing an accessible digital zine tool so young people have new ways to share their learning. And finally, in our final phase, we imagine Zine Cafe as a youth-driven digital community that really centers their voice in authentic expression. We are seeking $10,000 to formally launch our prototype and scale. These funds will go towards hosting our platform, translating lessons, the community building zine events, establishing the youth advisory program, and even begin developing our digital zine tool. Currently, we already have some early support from the Optimize Social Innovation Challenge. And also, over the summer, we're partnering with the Anti-Racist Digital Research Institute to engage communities in southeastern Michigan. In closing, we'll end with this. Zines offer something rare in traditional education. They celebrate student subjectivity and lived experience. Zine Cafe is more than a platform. It's an action towards more just, joyful, and liberatory learning. Thanks.
Thanks so much for the presentation. So before I ask my question, are you familiar with the neutral zone here in Ann Arbor?
Yes, we are.
Okay, so when you said youth voices, that's immediately where I jumped, but it sounds like you already know the folks there. So.
Yeah. We connected during customer discovery.
That's great. Love to hear that.
Yes.
That's exactly where you should be connecting. So you mentioned the term communities of practice. I would love to hear that defined. And then kind of on that note, actually, I'll let you define that first. What's a community of practice?
Yeah, so young people in particular, they're already making zines. People, some artists that we speak to, they say, I've been making zines since I was 12. And there is already like communities and cultures that already know this pedagogical potential of zines. And so we're not trying to extract that in any way. We're trying to honor it and uplift the practices that already exist.
Awesome, thank you. And then kind of as a follow-up, right as I was writing down this question, you talked about the Anti-Racist Digital Research Institute, so I was really happy to see that. How can you ensure the safety of the people who want to engage with your digital platform, especially if they're a marginalized population or they're feeling anxious about raising their voice, especially with our current administration in this climate right now?
Absolutely, and I'm really glad that you raised that point. There's a large ethical discussion right now when it comes to archiving zines. Zines are meant to be these ephemeral, documents that exist only temporarily in these hard copies that are distributed often in person. And so that's something that we really want to bring to the attention of the communities that we engage with to ensure that they understand those risks. And also, we as a platform will be continuing to explore what ways can we archive these voices in a way that still honors them and keeps them safe along the way.
So it's like more like a museum almost of sorts, like where you can say like this is something that's been said and you can kind of protect it. Is there any way for people to give feedback or commentary, or do you kind of not allow that just to prevent like that toxicity? Do you know what I mean? Like it's like adding a comment, or like I think about a Discord, channel or something like that.
Yeah. Right now we're imagining it more as a digital library. That would be a really interesting opportunity to have discussions around it. But perhaps rather than having these publicly available comments, those are conversations that can be happening in the communities with the educators in person.
Awesome. Thanks so much. That helps.
Thanks.
This is really cute. Thank you for putting the effort into doing this. So I really admire the digital storytelling merging with activism. So that's wonderful. So my question is, could you speak more to the metrics of impact? Like how are you evaluating, or will you be evaluating social justice learning?
Yeah. This project actually comes out of a previous project of mine called the Transformative Arts Curriculum that was built on social emotional learning, Michigan arts, and social justice standards for teaching for justice. And so there are ways to assess and check understanding and also progress as young people grow their critical consciousness.
Great. And can you talk to more about the methods of that? Like how do you collect that data?
Those would be through the either assessments provided by the educators, but also through the creative expressions as well, like what types of reflections are being made, and are they moving towards reflection to social action as well.
Excellent. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, really just really thoughtful presentation overall. And one question that I have is are you imagining folks being able to upload like handmade zines or something? Like we're thinking about younger kids in this digital world, like the font that they can choose from, the 8 fonts, might not represent them, right? So like how do you sort of break that barrier and allow them to sort of express themselves like a zine? I'm thinking like, yeah. So.
Yeah, there's the long history of zines is really rooted in analog print culture. And that's something that we also want to honor moving forward. And so, yes, definitely, even though we're going to have these digital tools to create zines, I really like the idea of, kids cutting up magazines, making collages, and we'll have the lessons, guides, and resources for that to happen, and then also a way for them to share their work with other youth.
Okay. Thanks. And my follow-up question was, do you see, and maybe I missed it, but do you see the zines being shared amongst other communities, right? Like I think the story you told was like the classroom, and it might not all relate. And so like how do you keep it local so that people feel like the people around them hear them, but also what is your idea for like, just how it reaches other people other than a community?
Yeah. One of our top requested features was collaboration across classes, schools, and communities. And so it would be an amazing detail to have of sharing zines, whether that's digitally or even like a pen pal system of sending those hard copy zines to other folks who are putting these lessons into practice. That is in demand from the people we've spoken to.
Sorry, just add on that. Apart from that, we are not only providing curriculum for students or folks who are designing things, we also provide curriculum for them to develop their own community-driven Zine Fast toolkits. It basically also could be a form of things, but basically all the curriculum gonna teach people or giving resources to people how to make the things happen in their own community, so that we won't really we are not representing them, or nobody gonna be representing them. They just need this website or this platform to refer to and to help them to build their own things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. I remember the .com. This reminds me of early .com, where you could go to a website and get all of that. So
Yes.
appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, well, now you have a sense of the challenge that the judges have to undertake.